Imagine if you could take a nap and wake up 100 years from now. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what cryonics aims to do. But before we freeze our minds with all the details, let's break down what cryonics actually is. What is cryonics? Cryonics is the practice of deep freezing a person's body or brain right after they die, with the hope that future technology can bring them back to life. It's like pressing the pause button on death. Pretty wild, huh? Now, you might be thinking, isn't freezing bad for our bodies? And you'd be right. That's why cryonics uses a special process called vitrification. But does it actually work? The honest answer is, we don't know yet. No one has ever been brought back from cryopreservation. It's a big gamble on future technology, but for some, it's a gamble worth taking. Exploring cryonics in reality. To understand the reality of cryonics, we take you to Scottsdale, Arizona, home to the Alcor Life Extension Foundation, a leading organization in this field. For nearly $250,000, you could potentially buy yourself a second chance at life. The catch: every person preserved at Alcor has been declared clinically dead. However, to the team at Alcor, clinical death is merely a technicality. Alcor's vision of the future. This perspective stems from Alcor's optimistic view of the future. They believe that within 50 to 100 years, medical advancements will enable them to restore their patients to full health. At Alcor, the term patient isn't just a formality. It's a commitment to the belief that these individuals can one day be revived. The preservation process. So, what happens when a patient arrives at Alcor? The preservation process is aimed at increasing the chances of survival in the future. Once a body or patient arrives, they are treated with a series of chemicals and drugs, carefully cooled and then lowered into a giant steel vat of liquid nitrogen. The goal is to preserve the body at -196 degrees Celsius, all in the hope that science will one day bring them back to life. Who chooses cryonics? Who opts for cryonics? Surprisingly, it's not just sci-fi enthusiasts or wealthy billionaires. The photos on Alcor's walls reveal a diverse group of people: retirees, parents, and even a very young girl who was preserved after losing her battle with brain cancer. In total, over 1,200 people have signed up for Alcor's services, with about 3/4 of the current patients being men. Who takes the decision? The decision to undergo cryopreservation is deeply personal. For instance, one woman visits Alcor regularly to say hello to her husband, whose body is preserved in one of the dewars. These stories highlight the human element behind the science, a mix of hope, love, and the desire to reunite with lost loved ones in the future. The science of cryonics. But what does science say about cryonics? It's important to note that the science behind this practice is still unproven and highly experimental. Many experts argue that there is currently no way to perfectly preserve the human brain or reverse the biological finality of death. However, Alcor challenges this notion by redefining the concept of death. Death as a process. According to Alcor, death is not an event but a process. Up until a few decades ago, most medical professionals believed that death was a simple on/off switch. You were either alive or dead. Today, it's understood that death occurs over a period of time. It takes hours after the heart and lungs stop functioning for the body to be truly and irreversibly dead. This understanding forms the foundation of Alcor's cryonics philosophy. Cryoprotective surgery. The real critical work happens in the operating room. Here, surgeons drain the patient's blood and replace it with a cryoprotectant, a medical-grade antifreeze. This step is crucial as it prevents the formation of ice crystals, which could otherwise cause irreversible damage to the body's tissues. Understanding the freezing process. Our bodies are composed of 50 to 60% water. When this water freezes, it forms ice crystals, which can severely damage organs and veins. By replacing the water with cryoprotectant, Alcor can gradually lower the body's temperature without freezing it, instead vitrifying it, turning the body into a glass-like state. In this state, the body can be stored in liquid nitrogen for decades without deterioration. In the end, cryonics remains a field shrouded in both hope and controversy. While the idea of waking up in a future world is undeniably fascinating, the scientific reality of such an outcome is still far from certain. If you enjoyed this icy adventure into the future, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to High-Tech 9 for more such future explorations. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon and your mind in the future. This is High-Tech 9, signing off.